Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, we're going to be covering the good, the bad, the ugly, and the exploiters of Cataclysm. Now, I have personally been having a really good time on Cataclysm so far, especially when it comes to PvP. I've logged about 14 and a half hours at max level. I've almost completely decked out my character in full honor gear, full bloodthirsty gear at this point. There are many things that I am very happy with, particularly class design and pacing of the game. I would say right now that Cataclysm, if you're interested in Battlegrounds, has the best pacing of Battleground fights of any other expansions. The rate that healers are running out of mana feels really good. The pacing of enemy players and their health bars feels really good. And overall, a lot of classes just feel strong. Your global by global usage feels like high impact, and you're not 100% reliant on these specific windows of cooldowns in order to feel powerful throughout a fight. So I absolutely am in love with things, related to class design and the pacing of the game. This is something that I hope that the retail game for the next expansion, The War Within, can possibly take into account when they're making their PvP tuning adjustments and turning their knobs to try and achieve for Battleground players and the likes, considering we're getting solo queue rated Battlegrounds in that expansion. Now, when we start getting into some of the bad things with Cataclysm, there is particularly an issue with faction imbalance. Basically, PvEers want to be Horde, and they're not engaging in a lot of PvP activities, and PvPers want to be Alliance because the human ratio is just so good in PvP specifically, and it's causing some queue imbalances in the game for things like Winter Grasp. So basically, if you try to queue up for Winter Grasp, there's a good chance that your queue might not even pop, and you could sit and queue for 30 minutes until the event is over. And this is because hardly any Horde are queuing, and when you do actually get in, most of the time it's like 4 Horde players on the other team and 120 Alliance, and the Horde stand no chance of winning. So it's either you're not able to get into it or you're automatically winning it, and it's causing quite a bit of an issue. I'm not sure if it's possible for them to be able to make it so Alliance fight Alliance in Wintergrass the same way that it is in regular Battlegrounds, because you don't see that issue because Alliance can fight against Alliance in regular Battlegrounds, but it is becoming a bit of an issue. If you've noticed also, you can't queue for Wintergrass right when it pops up at 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whenever the timer is. You have to wait until 1 minute has passed, which also increases the likelihood that you're probably not going to get into it. A way to get around that is to manually fly into the zone when it's about to start, which again can be inconvenient if you're moving around, and trying to buy stuff and stay in Stormwind and level professions and the like. But the only way to really try and get around it is to manually go to the zone and try and force yourself into it to be able to skip out the queue, which is something that I'm just giving out here basically as a free tip for this. So the queues for Wintergrass, they're looking a little rough, feeling a little bit scuffed overall. Now the next biggest issue at the moment is exploiters and cheaters, and I've seen this issue. I don't know what it is about this spell in particular, because it's existed throughout multiple iterations of the expansions, is mind control. In the most recent mind control bugs or exploits often would be you get mind controlled and then you get disconnected. Now, however, the mind control bug has evolved and become something totally different. If you get mind controlled by an enemy priest, what it ends up doing sometimes, and I don't even know how you can guarantee that this happens, or maybe it does happen every time, is it puts you onto the enemy's team, but you're not on the enemy's team. And that sounds really confusing. You'll be able to see it here throughout this clip. Is basically you get put on a third faction when you get mind controlled. So you're not on, both teams can attack you, and you can't engage with any of the objectives. You can't drop bombs, you can't click flags. You are basically just this neutral character that gets killed by both sides while rezzing in enemy territory, obviously, because nobody is on your team, and you just immediately get eradicated. It's a really confusing thing. The first time you res after you're mind controlled, and you're just like, what is actually going on? I don't understand what is happening. I literally just died to my own teammates, and that's because there are priests using mind control. And this is a bug that really needs to be stamped out quickly, because I have no idea what this is going to happen in rated Battlegrounds or in rated Arena. Right now it's just casual, just random Battlegrounds. There's not a lot of stakes on the line. There's not a lot you're not really getting anything out of exploiting like this, like some people for whatever reason are really intent on doing. So this is something that I'm really hoping can be stamped out, whether or not it means just disabling mind control in PvP for a temporary amount of time. In PvP situations, at least ranked PvP situations, because this is absolutely breaking the game. I really think that something needs to be done about it.